fat too.
Oh my God, this must be, oh my God.
Yeah.
All right, we are out here fishing for sturgeon today. We're just east of Hood River. It's about an hour east of Portland. And we were out here in January for retention season, and we kind of located a good hole where there's a lot of fish. Unfortunately, right now it's not retention season, but at least we can come out here and hopefully we can catch some fish. My buddy's supposed to come out in about an hour or so, but I haven't heard from him. But I hope that he shows up because he was supposed to bring the beer. But let's get out there, get anchored up, and see if we can hook up anything. So really all I'm doing for my anchor is there's already an anchor and a buoy out here. So I'm just throwing my bow line around it, and then I'm just going to sit on it. If I catch a really big sturgeon, I want to get away from this anchor line and buoy as soon as possible, because it can get pretty dangerous when you're fighting a 5-10 foot fish around those lines. So that way I've just got basically a quick release where I can just toss it overboard and I can float downstream. So I know I've shown this in a video before, but what I'm using is a 5'6" very heavy action rod. I prefer a shorter, stiffer rod on a kayak. It's you get a lot more control, and you can bring the fish a lot closer to you than you could with like a 10 foot or like an 8 foot pole that you might use on a bank or on a bigger boat. I've got a Penn 320 GTI reel. Really doesn't matter too much, just something heavy duty. I've got a 100-pound main line. Anything above 60 should be fine, but I like having a heavier line. You break off less, and I sometimes throw a camera down, and it's kind of nice having the insurance. So on the main line, I've got a sliding sinker, and I've got 5 ounces on here right now from my last trip, but I'm probably gonna go up to probably close to 10 or a little bit over 10. It's super calm up here on the surface, but where I'm at, it's 130 feet deep, and there's a bunch of current down there. And so when you throw it down, 5 ounces will actually float up off the bottom and roll around, and it's really not what we want. We've got a 200-pound barrel swivel. It's more about the size than it is about the weight of it. I want my sliding sinker to get stuck on there, and they're just easier to work with. I've got 100-pound Dacron as my leader. You can go 80 and up. I mean, you can go a little lower than that if you'd like. Sturgeon have horrendous eyesight, so I mean, you could tie a rope to this and it really wouldn't matter. And then I've got a 4/0 barbless hook. You can kind of play around with that, go smaller or bigger. Again, sturgeon can't really see anything, so you don't really have to worry about that. And I know some people say that they try to bury the hook so the fish don't notice it. I actually leave my hook as exposed as possible. The sturgeon don't really notice it. I've never had a problem with it, and it really helps with the hookup ratio. So for bait, you can really use anything, and I kind of mean anything. These sturgeon generally eat dead fish off the bottom. So if you can find something that's in the waters that you're fishing, that would be great. I have shad in the back of the kayak that I caught last year and cut up. Those do wonders out here. You can use, I have anchovies as well. You can use herring, squid, catfish. I mean, really any fish that is dead should work just fine. You can play with scents and all kinds of different baits, but I just kind of keep it simple. If it's not working, I'll switch it up and maybe add sand shrimp or ghost shrimp, if you guys know what those are. But hooking these guys up is pretty simple. We're gonna go kind of behind the gill here, and I'm gonna go under the spine and kind of punch it through so that the hook is facing backwards. I myself prefer my hook a little bit more exposed. I just kind of didn't do the best job there. That should be fine. We'll do some half hitches down the body of it. This is gonna help keep it in the presentation or the direction that we want. So that's kind of what our finished product looks like. You see how the half hitches keep it coming straight at us. So if we set the hook, this hook should go right into a fish. All right, so now we've got it down on the bottom. Every once in a while, I might move it just a little bit to make sure that we're still on bottom, but we want to leave this pretty still. The sturgeon don't really like to fight and go after bait, most of the time at least. So if you can leave them just sitting there pretty much motionless on the bottom, our bait's off that leader, and so it can kind of move around a little bit, but you just want to make sure you're still on bottom and not floating up, and we'll just leave it there. So when you have a sturgeon around your line, a lot of times you'll feel this like plucking on your fishing line. And sturgeon have these scoots on the sides of them. And when they swim by it, a lot of times you'll feel it go pluck, 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 pluck. And so I call them guitar plucks. And you don't want to set the hook when you feel that, because they usually don't actually have it in their mouth yet. It's just that they're swimming by it. So you want to really wait and let them take it for a little bit. You know, if your bait's on there pretty good, like the bait I showed you, you should be fine. You should be able to feel them tug a few times before you set the hook. So this is what we're looking for right here. You can see the bottom in red here, but you can see lines of fish right here. These sturgeon usually show up as really big marks, and it's best when they're right on the bottom like that. If they're up and suspended up in here, a lot of times it's really hard to get them to bite your bait because we're throwing our bait right here on the bottom. But this is a really good sign to see. Oh, there's definitely a fish on that now. Yeah, it's 100% a fish. Yep. Yeah, he's on. Okay. That feels like a decent sized fish. Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right, we're gonna come off the anchor. Oh, yeah, we're coming off the anchor. Oh. Oh, no. Oh, what a heartbreak. What an absolute heartbreak. Oh, that's so disappointing. Well, we know the anchovy works at least. We know that our rig works. All right, so I went ahead, put a hole in my finger. I went ahead and cut up some shad, and I'm using a fairly large chunk of shad. This fish is really oily, which is awesome. It puts out a lot of scent. It stays around for a long time. So I just kind of gently threw it on there like that. That should be fine. And I'm gonna throw down a 12-ounce weight now. I had a 10-ounce last time, but that was the last 10-ounce that I had. Really shouldn't make too much of a difference. It is I was using a pyramid weight, which would help keep it in place a little better. This will roll around a little bit more, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But if you have the choice, I would definitely recommend a pyramid. So we're all tied up again. Everything looks good. I think what happened on the last one, I tied that on my last fishing trip, and it's been tied for quite a while, and it's caught a couple fish. So you really should retie every trip, even if it looks good, because you'll have heartbreaks like that.
My name is Jeff.
So I was watching Outdoor Chef Life, and he made some cioppino, and I've never had cioppino, so I went and made some a couple days ago and brought some out. It was like 30 degrees when I got out here, so having some hot soup is absolutely awesome. Now that I got a bigger hook on it, you can see how exposed that hook is, and that's really what I like. A lot of people like to tuck it away, but I'd rather have it exposed. It really helps with the hookup ratio. Or like I went to the ocean and that was cool, but it was like a last second trip. Ooh, that's a touch. Yeah, there's a fish on that. I'm just letting him take it for now. Want to make sure that it's in his mouth, so as soon as I feel a good pull, that right there. God, I can't even tell if he's on that. Yeah, he's on there. These must be tiny. I don't know if he's getting bigger. Oh, wow, I don't know how this guy was so light just a minute ago. Should be getting close. He only took about a foot of line, so I don't think he's that big. Oh, he's got some size to him. Yeah, I'll throw some gloves on so I don't get all cut up. Yep. All right, there we go. It's probably what, 2.5 foot sturgeon right there. There's some monsters out here. Fortunately, this guy isn't one of them, but you guys can see him. We'll get him back in the water. And he's gone. It was right about this time where my microphone died and I wasn't able to film an outro. I'll go ahead and throw up the footage from the sturgeon that I caught back in January. I was pretty pumped when I caught it, and I'm sure you guys will enjoy it. If you guys enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing. These videos take a lot of time and effort to make. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll make sure to get back to you. 45 minutes of fighting this fish. It defeated me, and I have passed the torch off to Jeff. Look at the size of this sturgeon. This thing must be over 10 feet. That is huge. Oh my God, this took over an hour. Look at it. Oh my God. That's Jeff for comparison.
That is a big fish. He's so fat too.
Oh my God, this must be, oh my God.
He is,
Yeah, that's the size of my hand.
that's nine foot.
All right, we're gonna drag this guy to the shore. Let's get going.
Girth, whatever.
Plus that, plus what?
Plus whatever his girth is.
Oh, plus the girth, okay.
Yeah.
So after about an hour and maybe 15 minutes, he came off the hook, completely obliterated this hook. It is not at all the direction that it used to be, and it's a super heavy duty hook. That is by far the biggest sturgeon that I've ever caught or even seen. The thing was probably 2 feet wide. I mean, it was just absolutely massive. Unfortunately, he broke off before we could get to the shore and get better pictures and video of him, but that's one to remember.